So today we've got 3 tips for you, and the first one's all about communication. Now it's going to have, like if you were in school, it would be like point number 1, then we're going to have ABC. So this is all number 1 about communication. You want to communicate with us, and the best way to do that is by asking questions. Listen, we love when you ask questions because that means you're engaged with us in the process. It also makes you feel much more relieved because as these questions come up, nobody likes feeling like they're in the dark. So definitely ask us questions. The second part of that with communication is I want to know, how do you want us to communicate with you? Some people like to do everything talking on the phone. Some people like only text messages. Some people love email. Listen, go ahead and tell me that, because if you love talking on the phone, I'll call you. If it's all about email or text, we'll do it that way, but you want to let us know. And then the third thing on this part, so it's a little bit, several tips here. This is the third on communication, but on this part, I want you to be direct with us. Like if something doesn't feel like it's going well, go ahead and tell us. Listen, we're working for you. We want this to be in your best interest. We want to communicate how you want to. So tip number 2 is being patient but decisive at the same time. So how does that happen? So you have to be patient because a lot of times when you walk into a house, you're going to be like, this is not the one. But when you walk into a house and you're like, oh, I think this is the one, that decisiveness has to happen, because if you go home and think about it a few days, it's gonna be gone. If you go home and weigh all the pros and cons, it's gonna be gone. So you've got to be decisive in when you're feeling like this is the right house to get the process started. Now listen, everybody has some due diligence. So like it's not like you're not gonna have some time to think through it. You just don't always wanna take your time thinking through it on the day you see the house because you could miss it. So be patient, but be decisive at the same time. So tip number 3 is to be flexible. Now there's some things that we can't be flexible on. Like if a fenced yard is important to you, we can be flexible on that because that is something you can add after the fact. If having your main bedroom on the main floor is something important to you, we can't change that. You can't suddenly move all that stuff upstairs. So you want to be flexible and know what's most important to you. So like when you're looking at a house, if the paint colors are just awful, and we see that sometimes, you're like, when was this paint color ever a good choice? Well, that's something we can be flexible on because paint is pretty easy to fix and it's pretty inexpensive. However, there's other things that are not flexible, like an open floor plan. If you want an open floor plan, it is not always easy or cost effective to take walls out. So when you're looking at houses, depend on us to help you decide, is this something we could be flexible on, or no, this is just not the house for us. But you have to let us know what those must-haves are. So if you'll follow these 3 tips to communicate, let us know how you want to communicate. If you'll be patient but decisive, and if you will be a little bit flexible, it will be a lot less stress. Bye, y'all.